Hey guys, this is Nate again with the Canon EOS M3, and in this video I just want to give you a quick tour of the hardware and some of the aspects of it, some of the features about it. But some of this is available in some preview videos, but I just kind of wanted to touch on a few items specific to this camera. So here we have the EOS M3 body, of course, and an additional 22mm f2 STM EFM lens. However, if you get the kit system, it comes with this guy, which is an 18-55 variable aperture 3.5 to 5.6 lens, but it does have image stabilization. And so far it's been a decent little walking around lens. Gives you an equivalent focal length of, I think, like 29 to 88, something in that range. So in some sense, it gets to that equivalent focal length for a nice little portrait. However, at the 55mm length, the 88 equivalent millimeter length, it only does 5.6, which may or may not be what you're looking for. But this is a lens that comes with the camera if you get the kit. But I've gotten this additional little pancake lens. It makes it just that much more of a portable little system. So let me put this guy to the side real quick so we can just focus on this. So this camera, just kind of walking through some of the basic parts of it. We'll start with the top here. So here's your flash. You hit this little button. It pops out. You can bend it back if you want to, if you want like a little balanced flash. I haven't tested this, so I don't know exactly how powerful it is, but it does have that built in, which is in some ways a nice little feature to have that flash available. I don't have a flash built into my other camera. To be honest, it's never been a concern for me, but it might be nice just to have that available. So here we have a multi-function button, which from the factory I believe is not assigned to anything, but through the menu system you can assign it to anything you want. Currently I have it assigned to something called Eco Mode, so it'll save a little bit more battery or save a little bit more power as I use it. The one downside I have right now is I only have the one battery, which is a new format battery, an LPE17. And while I was able to find the camera and eventually able to find this additional lens, I've yet to be able to find an additional battery. However, I'll be in Tokyo in about a week, and I have a pretty good feeling I'll be able to find it there, as well as anything else I might want for this camera. But that's what I have it set to right now, just as a kind of a stopgap for now so that I don't eat up the battery. The shutter release, and then one little dial that can be assigned, but I have it set to adjust the aperture when I'm in manual mode. On-off button, mode dial. It does have a custom setting. It only has one custom setting, and I have learned so far that I can't use that custom setting for a movie mode, just for the manual aperture priority, timing priority, or shutter priority, and I guess the program mode. Also up here we have the auto intelligent mode, which I guess is more auto than the P mode, and then a hybrid mode, which I'm looking forward to kind of testing out. It might just be a consumer gimmicky thing, but it might be fun to try, where when you take a picture, it actually records a little bit of video with that picture, and at the end of taking a bunch of pictures, you kind of get this little digest movie. This is their creative assist mode, which allows you to do some larger creative adjustments in the camera so that the image that gets output is more stylized. I haven't tried that yet. A scene mode, which would let you do portrait, landscape. What else did they have? They had handheld night mode, sports mode or motion. That little guy running for the icons. I guess it was sports. And they also had a food mode, which I'm curious to see what that does. An HDR mode, which has a few different styles of HDR, and of course a movie mode. So these are all kind of the normal stuff that you would expect. Some of these, I don't know how common they are, but I'm gonna kind of look into those. They might be, might be fun to play with. It might be a little bit gimmicky, but might be kind of fun. An exposure compensation dial, which I've actually really enjoyed having a mechanical little dial for that. Just for when I am like in aperture priority, just to quickly dial it up or dial it down. It's kind of a nice little feature that I enjoy about the camera. So that's pretty much the top and a standard hot shoe. So in the front real quick, change lenses with that guy, and that's a little red light for focus assist. And I'm not sure what that guy does. I think this might be for the remote, the little IR sensor for the remote. And that's it for the front of it. As we move to the back, the LCD screen, it obviously tilts this way and it tilts this way. And this is actually something that I've kind of been enjoying just because, you know, don't have a viewfinder, and that might be a deal breaker for you. I might be getting one through a promotion they have. I'm not sure yet, but I'll see how that goes. But for now, I'm stuck using this, which actually, I say stuck using this, and it hasn't really been that bad. What I end up doing is, if you recall, or if you can imagine what people shot with like a medium format camera, where they would hold it at their kind of belly button height and then look through the top of it to frame their composition and get their focus and all that stuff. I've been using this in a similar way. So I'll hold this at about belly button height and then just kind of flip this guy out real quick and then be looking down into it as opposed to holding it up in front of my eye. And to be honest, it's been a lot more discreet. So if I'm walking around, I don't feel like there's a big light shining on me saying, hey, this guy's using a camera. It's kind of been a little bit nice. And so, however, I will say if you're wearing polarized sunglasses and you turn this thing to a portrait orientation, that's going to go black. And I don't know if you can see fingerprints all over it, but it is a touch screen, so there's probably fingerprints all over it. So moving on to some of the buttons, obviously this lets you record a movie. I think you can, when you're in an image shooting mode, you can go into the menus and assign this to something else, which I may have done. I can't remember if I've actually changed that or not. Like I think I've changed it. I think I have changed it, and it's set to like the different metering modes or something like that. Obviously a play button so you can see what you just shot. Being able to lock the exposure, being able to move the focus, and if you hold this down, it'll reset the focus back to the center point. Standard info menu buttons, then this guy here in the middle, obviously trash to delete a photo, which you can also assign to something else when you're shooting. Obviously when you're reviewing images, it'll do the trash, but while you're shooting, you can assign that to something else. Turning on and off manual focus, because that's not a switch on the lens. Even if you have the flash popped up, I guess you can turn it on and off from here. And then setting the ISO by hitting this and then turning this dial. And then when you're playing images back, hitting this top button turns on its Wi-Fi mode, so you can send it to a phone or has a few other options for how to share the image straight out of the camera. So when you're shooting, like in manual mode, for example, you can use this dial and this dial to adjust your shutter speed and your aperture. And that can be configured in the menu as far as which one you want to have for which. Having that option available does remind me a little bit of a DSLR experience where you do have these dials for easily accessing and adjusting the exposure, which I've really been appreciating with this camera. My other camera that I'm using, the one that this is being shot on, is a DSLR, which does have those separate controls for adjusting the exposure to make them super accessible, and then bringing that into something this small is just it's a nice transition to a smaller camera, still having that full access to your exposure settings. And if you hit this little top button, then this all of a sudden is the ISO adjustment. So you turn that and then hit the little set button, and then this goes back to whatever you have it set as. I have it set to the shutter speed, and then this guy to the aperture. So that's the back. We go to the side here. I guess there's some Wi-Fi stuff under this guy. This lets you get to the USB, and this will let you plug in an external audio source. This door does feel solid, but I will say the first couple times I opened it, it did feel like I was gonna break it. I haven't, luckily, but I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure they've engineered it right, but when I was opening it, it did feel like, oh, this thing's just gonna snap. On the other side, a little mini HDMI, which I don't have a cable for that, and so I haven't used that yet. So that covers the sides, the back, the front, the top, this side, and let's go to the bottom. NFC, so you can just tap it. I have an iPhone, so I don't think it works with that. I think that's more of an Android thing. Your standard little thread hole for tripods, and then the battery / SD compartment where you can put in the little battery, and you got a little standard SD slot there. So about the battery, like I said, it's a new form factor. I haven't been able to find it yet, but once I get to Japan, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to track one down. It is pretty small. Good news, it doesn't take a long time to charge because it's small. It's light because it's small, so those are good things. Bad things, doesn't last as long as I would like, which is why I really want to get an extra battery, which is also why I've set this to be the eco mode for now. So the eco mode will just be an aggressive kind of power saving mode where the LCD will kind of like halfway dim within just a couple of seconds, and then the display will turn off after a little bit, and then the camera will shut down, I think after 2 minutes. So if I know I'm going to be shooting for a little bit, I just have it set up to this front button so that I can turn it off very easily, and I know I'll be shooting. And then when I feel like I'm kind of done for a bit, I'll just turn it back on and put it down to my side, so it'll save as much as it can. It looks like the little microphone is right here by the exposure compensation dial. I don't know if you can see that. Then again, maybe it's right here. I don't know. So this is most of what the camera does. And I was going to show you real quick some of the customization options it had in the menu. Obviously, this isn't a completely professional camera, or it's really not marketed as such, but I guess it's what you do with it. But it does have some of those customization settings. Like I was saying, you can set a lot of the buttons to be a variety of things. Oh yeah, I have the little record button set to do the metering mode, a multifunction button to be that eco mode. And then you can set up what you want all the other pieces to do. And then apparently I have this the trash setup, the trash button set up to change the autofocus mode. So you have that, then being able to release the shutter without the lens, and retracting the lens on power off. I don't know why you turn one off or on. Maybe if you disable it, it'll power up quicker because it doesn't have to extend the lens. Maybe that's why you would do that. I don't really know. So autofocus, there's not a whole lot to it. It's just, do you want to use that LED to help with autofocus or not? Which, depending on the environment you're in, you might want to turn that off. We'll do that. And then exposure. What do we have here? Oh yeah, the ISO expansion stuff. And that's really, as far as custom functions, it does provide a lot, not as much as a full frame DSLR like a Canon 5D Mark III, but it does have some nice customization options in there. Most importantly for me is just being able to kind of reassign some of these buttons around here to help lock things or adjust things, is mostly what I do like about those customization options. So that is just a quick walkthrough of the Canon EOS M3. And as always, if you have any more questions about this camera, some of the features it has, or some of the functions, just let me know in the comments below, and I'll do my best to get them addressed. Thank you for watching.